What is a satellite? A satellite is a moon, planet, or machine that orbits a planet or star. For example, Earth is a satellite because it orbits the Sun. Likewise, the moon is a satellite because it orbits Earth. Usually, the word satellite refers to a machine that is launched into space and moves around Earth or another body in space. The history of satellites. Sputnik 1 was the first man-made satellite in space that was launched by Soviet Union. After 1 month, Soviet Union launched another satellite called Sputnik 2 in November 1957. It was the first satellite that carried a dog called Laika, and currently, there are over 2,787 active man-made satellites orbiting the Earth. There are two types of satellites, which is geostationary and non-geostationary satellites. A geostationary satellite is Earth-orbiting satellite. It has an orbital period of 24 hours or 1 day, which means that it completes one revolution around Earth in the same time as Earth completes one rotation on its axis. Geostationary satellites also commonly used in communication satellites. Next is non-geostationary satellites. Non-geostationary satellites is satellites that are not in geostationary satellites. It almost always orbit closer to the Earth than geostationary satellites. Non-geostationary satellites orbit with varying velocities depending on the orbit's height. Non-geostationary satellites commonly used for Earth mapping. There are a few laws that are related to the satellites. The first one is universal law of gravitation. Universal law of gravitation is the force that universally acts at the distance between two objects that have masses. So, as we know, the universal law of gravitation is related to satellites since the Earth and satellites are both two objects that have masses. The second one is centripetal force. Since gravitational force is a universal force of attraction between masses, it provides the centripetal force needed to keep a satellite in orbit around a planet or a planet in orbit around a star such as the Sun. So, it is impossible for the satellite to orbit the Earth if there is no centripetal force. Next is Kepler's first law. Kepler's first law states that the orbits of the planets are ellipses with the Sun in one of its focus. And lastly, Kepler's second law. According to the Kepler's second law, a line joining the satellite with the Earth sweeps over equal areas in equal intervals of time as the satellite moves in orbit. Next is the advantages of satellites. There are a lot of advantages of satellites, which are send and receive a variety of signals for our communication, such as for television, cell phones, and also GPS devices. Disadvantages of satellites. Satellites are important and impressive pieces of technology, but they do have some downsides. Satellites are very costly, hard to maintain, and not always reliable. And finally, this is my mocap model of satellite.